What do rich people actually spend their money on? Wait a second. When you think of a rich person, what comes to mind? A huge mansion, a massive car, a pool, money raining down from the sky? Yeah, that's what we all picture. Wrong. I've spent over a decade working directly with wealthy people. CEOs, founders, top-level executives. And let me tell you, real rich people spend their money on things you can't even see. And that's exactly why they stay rich. Today I'm going to break down what wealthy people actually spend their money on. And honestly, some of it might surprise you. For over 10 years I've been running HR functions that support founders, CEOs, and senior executives inside their companies. I work with them daily. I see how they make decisions, how they think about money, what they say yes to, and what they always say no to. Here's the interesting part. The things that actually make them wealthy are the things most people completely overlook. In this video, I'll share what rich people really spend their money on, and more importantly, the practical lessons anyone can apply, whatever your income or wealth level. Let's get into it. The first thing wealthy people spend money on is time. They don't just work harder. They spend money on things that free up hours they would otherwise lose to tasks that don't need their unique skills. Things like scheduling, travel planning, cleaning, laundry, or grocery shopping. Not because they can't do these things, but because their time is worth far more than the cost of paying someone else to handle them. Every hour they buy back is an hour they can rest, think, recharge, build, or simply earn more. Almost every executive I've worked with has some form of assistant. Some in person, some virtual, some full-time, some part-time. One company founder I knew had two. Her in-person assistant handled all the personal day-to-day stuff. Every morning she'd pick up fresh organic produce, make the founder a smoothie, walk the dogs, and take care of household errands. Meanwhile, her virtual assistant handled the work side, scheduling meetings, managing her inbox, planning travel, and taking care of routine tasks that would otherwise eat up hours. Because those two assistants handled all of that, the founder could focus entirely on the big picture. Growing the business. Working on the things that directly increased revenue. Every hour she bought back didn't just save time, it created more impact and income than she could have produced on her own. Now, hiring help isn't cheap. Virtual assistants can run anywhere from $15 to $50 an hour depending on experience and location. But the real benefit isn't just time saved. It's mental space. I'm not saying everyone should run out and hire a full-time assistant right away. But there are practical things you can do to buy your time back, even on a regular budget. Start with the tasks that eat up most of your week. Maybe it's cleaning the house. Maybe it's cooking, meal prepping, or grocery delivery. Because every hour you free up is an hour you can spend with your family, rest and recharge, or work toward your goals. The next thing I've noticed is that wealthy people spend money on advisors and experts. Specialists who protect their money, grow it wisely, and keep them out of costly mistakes. Tax strategists, estate planning attorneys, business and legal counsel. Rich people use them because they understand that sometimes avoiding a mistake is worth more than making money. One bad tax move, one poorly written contract, one wrong partnership can land them in serious trouble and wipe out years of hard work. And this isn't just something I've observed. The data backs it up. Studies suggest that more than 70% of wealthy Americans use professional tax strategies and advisors, nearly double the general population. You might be thinking, well, I'm not rich, I can't afford all that. But you don't need to hire every advisor out there. Use them in the ways that actually make sense for your life and your budget. Personally, I use AI tools like ChatGPT or Perplexity as a first step. They help me learn and get prepared, which saves a lot of money. But if a decision involves big dollars or serious legal or tax risk, that's when I bring in a real professional. That way I'm not paying them to educate me from zero. I'm paying them to customize, confirm, and protect me. Here's another big one. Wealthy people are far more willing to spend money on their health. preventative care, personal trainers, physical therapy, mental health support, and more.
Why?
Because they understand that you can't outperform poor health. When their energy drops, their income usually follows. The takeaway for you and me isn't just to spend more on health, it's to invest in it earlier and smarter. Instead of waiting until something hurts, get an annual physical and basic blood work so smaller issues don't become big problems later. Instead of chasing expensive wellness trends, invest in sleep, a fixed bedtime, cutting the phone before bed, a blackout curtain, or an eye mask. These are low-cost changes that can bring big returns. Next, wealthy people invest in themselves, their own skills and abilities that can multiply their income over and over. I once knew a CEO, a billionaire, who hired a private Mandarin tutor to come to his office every week. His time was incredibly valuable, and learning a new language takes years. Realistically, that 1 hour could have been spent running his business and making 100 times what most people earn in the same time. That's why it surprised me. When I asked him why, he said it was because his company was expanding into China and he wanted to communicate directly with his clients and team there. He wanted to build trust and lead without a language barrier. To him, learning Mandarin wasn't a cost. It was an investment, one that would help him land better clients, lead bigger teams, and create far more opportunity in the long run. And that's something most people don't do consistently. They don't invest in themselves with a future in mind. Language is just one example. Wealthy people also invest in leadership, communication, personal branding, and much more. For us, we can start with one skill that aligns with our goals. Maybe it's public speaking, maybe it's negotiation, maybe it's personal branding. Think of skills as something that multiplies what you can charge and what you can create tomorrow, not today. That's why the wealthy spend intentional money on skill development, not to look good, but to earn better and grow without limits. Wealthy people also pay for environments that shape their behavior. They don't rely on motivation because motivation comes and goes. Instead, they design environments that make success easier. I was once invited by a company executive and his wife to their home for a holiday. They owned a company worth hundreds of millions of dollars, so I expected something extravagant. Maybe a huge house in a well-off neighborhood. But to my surprise, they lived in a 3-bedroom townhouse, no yard, in a very typical middle-class neighborhood. You'd pass right by it without noticing. Not big in square footage at all, but only a few minutes' drive from his company. That was intentional. He optimized his environment for output, not status. He chose to be close to work, minimize distractions, and keep his life simple to gain more time, more energy, and more focus for what truly mattered, growing his company and building wealth. For you and me, we can also design our environment to support our goals. Even small changes like clearing the desk, setting up a home workstation in a quiet corner, wearing noise-canceling headphones, or adding a comfortable chair can make a big difference in focus and productivity. Finally, wealthy people pay to be in the right rooms. They invest in networks and access. They put themselves where opportunities happen. Masterminds, peer groups, industry conferences, private communities. They choose deliberately who they're around and what opportunities land in their lap. I once assisted a founder who had already built one of the best companies in their industry. Things were going exceptionally well. And yet they chose to enroll in an executive education program at Harvard Business School. Why would someone at that level go back to school? They did it for fresh perspectives, new connections, access to experts, other founders, and guest speakers. They wanted to be in the room. To them, that room was the investment. Now, you don't need to dive into expensive programs to see results. Local meetups, online groups, or industry events can all help you grow your network in ways that fit your goals and your budget. Here's the key point. Every purchase wealthy people make comes down to one question. Will this save me time, protect me, or grow my future income? If yes, they get it. And that's a mindset anyone can start using today, no matter how much money you make. If you found this helpful, don't stop here. Subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.